Start up yourself and invest in some Facebook ads. Be honest with yourself. Is Jim's the first name you think of when it comes to detailing?
Actually, for most of the public, Jim's is the first name people think of. We did a little experiment in Adelaide some years ago where we asked clients, which glazing company would you go for? Now, there were a couple of local glazers. There was O'Brien's Glass, which is by far the biggest in the country, huge company. And then there was Jim's Glass. Now, O'Brien's actually got top of mind. They got a lot better response than the local glaziers. Jim's Glass was by far the best response. And what was interesting about that, Jim's Glass didn't even exist at the time. We were just looking at starting it. So the brand is strong. Now, whether you yourself would go for Jim's first, maybe you wouldn't. But generally speaking, the public does. In car detailing, we are number one in Australia now. In fact, in a lot of industries, in mowing, in car detailing, in cleaning, in building inspections, in pool care, we are the biggest in the country. It's interesting, it's a very common idea that every new franchisee actually means less work for existing franchisees. We actually find entirely the opposite. The people who struggle most to find work tend to be the pioneers, the ones that go into a new division which isn't known. As it gets bigger, as more people come on, we find the actual volume of leads per franchisee rises dramatically. We also find with time that the number of unserviced leads rises dramatically. Over the past 12 months, we have knocked back over 200,000 leads. This was unheard of in the past. But as we've got bigger and better known, as our customer service has improved, because we do have very tough systems on that, we actually find we have a lot more work for franchisees. We actually find that the first franchisees tend to be the ones that struggle the most. The ones who come in later when it's established tend to find it a lot easier. Not only do they have more work because their brand is so much more established, but what's very important is they travel a lot less. See, if you're the first franchisee from a division in a new city, you go all over the place. In our system, you actually define where you want leads. And what people do with time is they actually shrink their area, so they travel less and less and less. If you come in later, you actually can come into an area with a lot more local work. So it generally is the opposite. Once again, though, I would suggest that you actually talk to franchisees. And it depends on the system too. There are franchise systems that probably do work that way, but if you're investigating gyms, get a list of all the franchisees in the region, ring as many as possible, and ask them, when did you start? How long ago? What was it like in the early days? What's it like now? Talk to people who've just started up. What's your experience? In other words, do your homework. The thing that really amazes me is that people will buy a business. They'll spend $25,000, $30,000, or they'll make a decision not to buy it without doing their research. Now, frankly, I'm not too badly off. But if I was going to spend $30,000, I'd spend a couple of hours doing some basic research to find out about it. I recommend you do the same. I think it's very easy to go on the internet and just look at people who are talking about the business. But if I was actually looking for advice from somebody about a business, let's just say I wanted an advice about buying a car. Now, who would I go to? Would I go to somebody who works with cars day in, day out? Or would I go to somebody who has no idea about vehicles, has never driven a car, has never owned a car, doesn't know anything about whose advice would be the best? Now, if you're interested in a franchise, who are you going to ask? Somebody who's never had the franchise, doesn't know anybody who's got the franchise, or somebody who is a franchisee, is working as a franchisee. And that doesn't mean you automatically buy gyms. What it means is you do your research by talking to the most relevant people. Yes, it's a bit harder. You might have to spend a couple of hours on the phone. But this is a decision that can actually change the whole of your life. It can make the difference. It can affect your income. It can affect your family. You make a good decision about buying or even not buying a business. That will change your life for better or for worse for years and even decades to come. It will change your family. So do your research, do it properly, and ask the people who know what they're saying. Don't talk to random strangers who know nothing. We do not guarantee conversion rate. We find on average our franchisees convert about 3/4 of their leads to jobs, but it depends a lot on pricing. We actually encourage them not to have too high a conversion rate by charging too cheap. But as far as the guarantee is concerned, it's not an income guarantee at all. It's not a lead guarantee. It's a pay for work guarantee. What we say is that if you don't make the value, whatever it is, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, you can do free services up to the level of the guarantee. Now that's not converting at all. That's going to friends, neighbours, relatives, people on Facebook. Doesn't have to be anybody who could have you ongoing. Just anybody who's prepared to accept a free service, provide a name, address and phone number so we can check. But the really good thing about this is, first of all, if you do it, you are guaranteed to get it, but you have to do it. If you do it, you will get it. But the really good thing about it is if you go out offering free services to everybody you could possibly find, then you start getting referrals, you start getting upsells, you start getting regulars, and you'll typically make a lot more money from those than you ever get paid by your franchisor.